And they made this decision, I guess, at 3 o'clock in the morning last night after I released a video exposing Anonymous. Now, I need people to bear in mind here, okay? If the occupations are owned and controlled from the start, and that's what we're hearing increasingly. More and more evidence is coming out that they've been running this show from the start. Who announced Wall Street expect us September 17th? That was Anonymous.
Right.
Yeah, so Anonymous is behind this.
Yeah, definitely.
The whole thing. We have talked about on my group. Of course, you have now. Listen to this. I got an email. It had to be last week, or no, it had to be a couple weeks before. Right before the Occupy thing happening, from MoveOn.org telling me about it. So right there it shows that MoveOn.org has been pushing this as well as all the other Soros groups, Acorn, AFL, CIO, all these other, groups. So, I mean, and Adbusters magazine. Now, you know what really got me was at first when I heard about this, the Occupy Wall Street, the website had the European date. It was it had the date after the month, after the day. Like they write in Europe, like 9/11 would be 11/9 there, and that's how they had it. Now, wouldn't something in America or even Canada be, written the correct way? I remember posting at the time. This whole thing has been set up by somebody in there's a good article you can read on it by Henry McCall, and he puts a lot of these groups together. I did see your video though, Harry. I really impressed you put the dots together. This is definitely controlled opposition, whether it was from the start or whether it was something that's been going on. They're trying to bring, they're bringing this under their tent now.
Right, and this is not all just me now. I just put in the Skype chat here an ad from Craigslist that I screenshot, but somebody sent me a link and said, look, they're paying people to be on Occupy Wall Street. So about 3 days ago, I screenshotted this. You guys can download this and show it to people, but they're paying, let me check here, I think it says $350 to $650 a week, depending on responsibility. So they're being paid to stand there and control the conversation.
Right.
And that's working families.
You know what, Harry? I'm going to New York this weekend. I think, I don't know, I wish I had more capabilities to print out signs and print out flyers. But even if we can get that, and just print it out on a regular thing and blow it up and pass it out to people. Hey, this is what's going on. We gotta pull these people out and expose them.
Right.
I'm just worried about while I'm there about getting caught up in some type of provocateur does something near me, and then that
Well, not only that, I suspect they may not. I suspect they may not go with classical provocateur activity because we caught on and it's too obvious. Right. I think they may hit the Tea Party against the Occupy Wall Street people because they know it's going to break out, automatically. Once they get 500 Tea Party people there, it's just automatically going to happen.
Right. No, you're 100% right. In your video, you showed that, young wise-ass kid going around, he was doing the, and he was provoking them. You said, wait until that's, 500 of them show up, and they will. Wait until Sean Hannity or Glenn Beck calls for it and sets up a bus trip. They'll be there, and that's what they want. They don't want us all uniting with each other to take on our common enemy. They want us to,
No way, they divide us, yes. Divide and conquer. It's, it's a classic, Galilean dialectic. That's what they're doing,
Well, yeah, and so prevalent in the truth.
It's so obvious.
Because, you can spot, I could spot, actually, disinfo agents just by looking at some of their posts and what they're writing in groups. And I'm very worried. That's why I don't accept friends requests anymore, of how many are on my friends list that are actually not real truth seekers,
right?
But who are part of these people that are recording our websites.
It's a very good point, Chris.
Anybody that requests me with a guy Fox and a weirdo name isn't getting requested, isn't getting taken anymore because I don't know. I notice they never pop up and really talk. I don't know. I just don't. I don't like the whole idea of secrecy. That's what our enemies use. Why can't? the fact of hiding behind a mask and everything, no, I'm going to go to a protest. I'm going to go out and I'm going to show my face.
Exactly. That's a very good point. Like, that's the difference between what happened in Canada. Like, that was the thing. I mean, with the G20, when everything went wild and all the violence, these people were covering their faces and doing violence, which, again, that's part of the problem. Obviously controlled opposition in many cases, look at all this stuff going on. They want to provoke it. They want to say, look at these crazy people. So violence doesn't serve the movement, obviously, at all. Generally, violence is going to be, if you're aware, the people are not aware of this. These people are radicals. You don't understand. It's like radical Muslims who took the box cutters and, crashed planes into buildings.
Yeah,
it's like the same bullshit.
They're going to push us to violence, Howard. That's the thing. They're going to push us to violence. I mean, that's the only way I see us actually ever toppling the New World Order.
Yeah.
Well,
you can't.
Let me ask you guys something though. I'm beginning to look back at it, and I wonder. We know stuff is being staged down there. Now, I don't think those women even got maced that day. I'm beginning to, they make up the stories. Those could have been a few people they busted and sprayed them with the stuff there was picking up their face.
Well, being skeptical.
I don't know.
Being skeptical.
It could be, Justin, because you know what? There was never a video from afterwards. There was never a boyfriend or a husband or a father saying, "Yeah, I can't believe they maced my girl,
my
like
daughter."
That.
Hey, very good point, Harry. Yeah, that's right.
Now, look, this whole thing with Anonymous, bottom line, they're over there in these foreign nations trying to figure out how to deceive and psychologically manipulate these foreigners, and they're taking notes, and they're like, okay, every time it worked because we had a particularly good, actor, and that's what they are as actors, and when it didn't work, it's because they identified the person as an American, or they identified, it had to do with the identity, and so they said, how are we going to deceive people the best? And they said, no identity. And there's Anonymous.
Makes very good sense. Great break.
Anyway, guys, I got a jet, man. I got to broadcast in a little bit. So thanks for having me on. Keep up the great work, and death to the New World Order.
Death to the New World
Order.
All right, I'll see you Friday at noon, Chris.
All right, Harry.
All right, have a good night.
You too.
All right. So there we have it. We have websites being censored. Being pulled down. Wouldn't be surprised if that's happening. It's going to happen to a lot of truth radio stations, probably ours, and we'll be up too.
Let's hope not, but it's up there, yeah. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's the people just don't understand. I mean, it's so obvious. How could you do this? Why doesn't somebody that's posting that they hate the Yankees and and all that, why don't you block them and or whatever, or hate the Mets, or hate the Red Sox, so that
think about this, guys, right?
What
was it? It was only a couple of months ago that Bill Gates bought Skype, and most of these radio stations on the internet, we use Skype.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, everything they do is pure calculated. They gave out Skype. They knew what people were going to use it for.
Mm-hmm.
They don't let people lose money. The phone companies by Skype lost a lot of money, so I'm sure they were subsidized for it. Just in general, just how they wanted to make everything that much more, open. They make, you can have group calls on Skype. You can't do that over a regular phone line. Everything that they put out, pretty much, I would be, would really wonder. Who was behind it.Maybe someone was well-intentioned with making the Skype, but I'm sure that they got that little offer, hey, if you want to make this big, you're going to, sign with me. And then, of course, a couple years later, no one thinks nothing when it's sold to Google or Gates or whatever, just like everything else.
Right.
3 or 4 corporations run everything anyway, right?
Mm-hmm. No, I just think we're in deep shit here, man, when it comes to radio stations like ours and others.
I know.
I mean, we don't know how many have been taken down. We know just, Harry Links has been taken down. For all we know, there could be many out there that have been taken out.
Right. Well, you know what? I mean, I guess we'll have to, I think what it's going to be, is going to be after certain topics that we touch on, then we're going to all of a sudden, see a couple go down in one day, and then they'll let us back up,
Well, you just go up in a different way, that's all. You just go up in a different way, or you go at a different angle, Like, I mean, he's broadcasting right now, right? They shut him down, but he's still going to...
For example, I mean, well, that's the perfect thing. That's why we need to have unity in the movement as well.
Yeah, you just keep going.
A guy like that gets shut down, and then he can come on ours.
Exactly.
And talk about it and get the information. That's why we need unity more than ever.
Right.
That's really my plea to the movement, is put our petty stuff aside. And, and when it comes to stuff like that, we all need to stand together. I mean, obviously there's going to be some people that don't get along, but for the most part here, we have people, that we're all like-minded. We all have the same goal here. So, I mean, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, that's what obviously people are out there to do. Provocateurs also bring up certain things that people argue about in the movement, of course. They'll bring that up at a key time to start two people arguing again.
Well, again, I think it's the principles, not the people. I think that we need to. I mean, I sort of echo this all the time. It's my personal view on the whole movement is that, I mean, there's good, there's bad, there's better, there's ugly, but in generally, anybody, unless they're disinfo people and they're just obviously provocateurs, if they're shining it towards liberty and they're shining it towards the truth, it doesn't matter if you don't agree with their position
totally.
or that you think that there's like I personally view the information is what's important. People will come to their own understanding.
Well, Howard, that's why with me personally, I've stopped worrying about what people, if someone has a different view than I do on 9/11 or something, as long as we're both in agreement that it didn't happen by, 19, like we said, 19, radical Muslims from Saudi Arabia or wherever the fuck else they came from, supposedly.
Saudi Arabia. No, by the way, who is now signing? Listen, Saudi Arabia. Listen to how the playbook's going. So Saudi Arabia. Interestingly enough, Iran supposedly tried to assassinate the the ambassador to Saudi Arabia.
Yes,
that's just hilarious.
This is the joke of the night. Yes,
blame it on Iran, right? Now there's something we could talk about for about an hour.
The Saudi American ambassador now.
Yeah,
they want to tie America into it as well.
Yes. They're going for war, man. That's all they do is war, debt, enslavement, breakdown of liberty rights, and collectivism through government and corporatism through the big corporations owning everything. The little guy will never be able to own, even your local bar. In their view, one day they won't even be that. You'll have this is the the bar corporation.
Howard. Howard, check it out. You ever see Demolition Man?
Of course.
At the end, Taco Bell owns everything, and it's going to be like that. You're going to have one bar. They're all going to be named.
The same name. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Right.
Yeah. It really is going in that direction.
Well, you know what? Though? They're always going to give you two choices. So I think you're going to have one bar name.
One
name Coke, one name Pepsi.
Right, exactly.
Just to give you the illusion of choice.
Yeah, the duopoly. It's really, but they both, but their interested shares are commingled, and there's, it's crazy, man.
Right.
Or their interest, for example, let's say, great example, just to make it a box. Let's say you got Rothschilds and Rockefellers for argument's sake, right? One owns Pepsi, one owns one owns McDonald's, the other owns Burger King for argument's sake. Now, but they both buy their meat from the same people. So they both use the same sub-vendors that they both commingle and own, and that's how they get their little spider webs into everything. So even if they don't have controlling shares in the organization, through shadow organizations or through secret partnerships, basically secret silent partnerships,
exactly.
They coordinate and get these agreements. Think about it. Michael Chernoff was our Homeland Secretary. All of a sudden, the underwear bomber today, of course, he decided to plead guilty all of a sudden. Interesting. Let's see what happens with this whole thing. I mean, all of a sudden he was going to have Haskell. Haskell was supposed to testify for him, and now he's pleading guilty. Sounds fishy to me.
Talked about on my group. Of course, now listen to this. I got an email maybe last week or no, it had to be a couple weeks before, right before the Occupy thing happening, from MoveOn.org telling me about it.
Uh-huh.
Right there it shows that MoveOn.org has been pushing this as well as all the other Soros groups, Acorn, AFL, CIO, all these other groups. So I mean, and Adbusters magazine. Now, you know what really got me was at first when I heard about this, the Occupy Wall Street, the website had the European date. It had the date after the month, after the day. Like they write in Europe, like 9/11 would be 11/9 there, and that's how they had it. Now, wouldn't something in America or even Canada be, written the correct way? I remember posting at the time. This whole thing has been set up by somebody in
on Occupy Wall Street. So about 3 days ago, I screenshotted this. You guys can download this and show it to people, but they're paying. Let me check here. I think it says $350 to $650 a week, depending on responsibility. So they're being paid to stand there and control the conversation.
Right.
And that's working families.
You know what, Harry? I'm going to New York this weekend. I think, I don't know, I wish I had more capabilities to print out a sign. There's a good article you can read on it by Henry McCow, and he puts a lot of these groups together. I did see your video, though, Harry. I really impressed you put the dots together. This is definitely controlled opposition, whether it was from the start or whether it was something that's been going on. They're trying to bring, they're bringing this under their tent now.
Right, and this is not all just me now. I just put in the Skype chat here an ad from Craigslist that I screenshot, but somebody sent me a link and said, look, they're paying people to be, and they made this decision, I guess, at 3 o'clock in the morning last night after I released a video exposing Anonymous. Now, I need people to bear in mind here, okay? If the occupations are owned and controlled from the start, and that's what we're hearing increasingly. More and more evidence is coming out that they've been running this show from the start. Who announced Wall Street expect us September 17th? That was Anonymous.
Right.
Yeah, so Anonymous is behind this.
Yeah, definitely.
The whole thing, we have